At the outset, I am thankful to the organizers, especially Dr. Srikanth Sola and my good colleague Ravi Narayan for making me the opening batsman for this session. And that is, I tried to make it as the most simplest session for you because I am looking at the segmental anatomy of the heart. We all have experienced the advances in imaging. And you can see how good the MRI gives the images. You can see the picture of a double arch. You know what to do, how to treat this baby. And anybody wants to make a guess, what is this? It's a beautiful CT scan picture. What does it show? Come on. Because it's going to be an interactive session as I am told. Something like this. As you can see, these are the pulmonary veins draining down to the inferior vena cava as the scimitar syndrome. See how good the quality of images is. But for the common clinician who is challenged with a sick baby, the most simple and the easily repeatable, cheap bedside investigation remains the small ultrasound knife which takes the section along the long axis and short axis of the heart. And this is what I am going to tell you today, how to look at it properly. And here there is a small challenge for us. You have to create good quality, interpretable images so that the other person who sees that understands what you think is right. Here, look at this image. Is it an elephant behind the wall? It looks so, isn't it? But if you look carefully, and if the two humps move in the opposite direction, you know it is not an elephant. By using the ultrasound, you are just creating an image. You may be able to say, don't be be flexible, don't be pragmatic. You may be able to say this image may belong to a lady. But don't commit for sure it belongs to Miss Sonia Gandhi or Aishwarya Rai. Because if it moves in the opposite direction, you know it is just only two umbrellas and not the elephant. So then, why segmental approach? It minimizes the errors in the diagnosis and management in pediatric cardiology, especially where we deal with the so-called congenital heart diseases or the manufacturing defects of the heart. And fortunately, the segment which we want to look are very simple. The veins which drain the blood from the whole body, the collecting chamber, the atria, the pumping chamber, the ventricles, and the great vessels which take the blood to the rest of the body. So, having simplified the four important segments, I'll take you to the simple window, the unique localized spot from which you can reconstruct the three-dimensional anatomy of the heart, that is the subcostal window. So, in sequential analysis, you will trace the venous return of the blood through the atria, through the atrioventricular valve to the pumping chamber, and then through the semilunar valves to the great vessels. And these two circulations, the pulmonary and systemic circulations, are essentially separated by the septa, the atrial, ventricular, and the truncoconal. And in this sequential analysis, we need to understand the spatial relation of these segments to each other as well as to the rest of the body. So, mind you, I gave you four simple segments, and now I have introduced four other situations to it: the atrioventricular junction, the ventricular arterial junction, the septae, and the spatial relationship of these structures. So then this is what you need to do. Use the transducer as a knife. You start with the first section, the transverse section of the heart, exactly at the syphis sternum, or just the subcostal region, where you get the transverse section of the body. And then slowly take 8 other sections. Mind you, 8 other sections to understand the 8 segments of the body. Finally, you convert your transducer from the transverse section to the coronal section like this. This is what you use. Start with the transverse plane and slowly tilt the transducer to the section of the heart and end up with the coronal plane. So now my job is simplified. I have told you what these 8 segments are. And I told you how you generate these 8 sections. So this is the first section you create, the transverse section of the heart. This is the right side of the patient, and this is the left side. This will be behind will be the head, and this will be the leg of the patient. And if you have got an MRI scan, this will be the quality of the picture you get. But when you keep the transducer on the baby's syphis sternum, most of the time you see nothing. The baby will be crying, baby will be struggling, you will be stressed, and most of the time you don't see anything, but still persevere and slowly displace the air and use the liver as a transducer, and there will come this beautiful picture. To get this picture, you slowly identify, this is the liver and this is the vertebral column, and you see the gas bubble in the stomach. And carefully look for the thick-walled pulsating structure, the aorta, and the thin-walled winging structure, the inferior vena cava. Is that picture clear for you? So once you identify, if you are fortunate and your Doppler works along the axis of the blood flow, you will be able to identify the low velocity blood flow which moves with the respiration and the beating of the heart, the venous flow, and the single pulsatile flow with every heartbeat, the arterial flow from the aorta. So once you identify the aortic pulsations, you are sure you are dealing with the aorta on the left side and the IVC on the right side. Make sure you are dealing with the structures. Once you know that is it, you have created the situs view. The situs of the baby is likely to be soletus. And you tilt the transducer a little up towards the heart, you see the cardiac apex, and now you know you are dealing with the situs soletus and levocardia. Now, if you get the things reverse or the other way, the aorta on the right side, IVC on the left side, you know it is situs inversus. And you slide upstairs and see the heart cardiac apex on the right side, you know it is a situs inversus dextrocardia. So you can have various permutations and combinations, and especially you should be very careful to get the structures when there is an isomeric situation. Isomeric situations can easily be recognized. Don't worry about right or left side position of the vessel, but the IVC and aorta will have an antero-posterior relationship, either on the right side or the left side. Look at this picture. Here you have the aorta and see the IVC is posterior. When the IVC is really posterior to aorta, you are very likely you are dealing with a situation of left isomerism. And if the IVC is clearly anterior to the aorta like this, you know you are dealing with right isomerism. Right isomerism is usually associated with asplenia, and you have to take real precautions to vaccinate the child against capsulated organisms like meningococci and pneumococci. At this juncture, till now you are dipping the pictures as it is in the patient's body. But now, since you are looking from below upwards, you better invert the screen so that you can depict the coronal sections as it is in the baby's body. So when you took the transverse section, this was the front of the baby, this is the back of the baby. The picture also looks the front of the baby and back of the baby. But now you look up from the cephisternum, the picture will be like this. The most inferior part of the body will be represented in the upper part of the screen, and the most headward part of the structures will be represented in the lower part of the screen. So then you will have to think how is it looking. So instead of avoiding this confusion, what you have generated, you just invert the screen. Now everything is as in the baby's body. You see the aorta is up as well as the structures below is down. The right side is right side, the left side is left side. So whether it is dextrocardia, whether it is levocardia, you don't have any confusion. You just have to interpret as you are seeing the picture. So you know why you invert the screen at this point. And now we have done the recognized situs levocardia. It could be situs inversus dextrocardia. It could be other way around, situs soletus dextrocardia, or situs inversus with levocardia. And you have got the various other permutations where you have the isomeric situations. Now, having identified the inferior vena cava, the next job for you is to identify the atria. If everything is fine, left atrium is simple to identify. It is on the left side. It drains the pulmonary veins, opens the left ventricle through the mitral valve. But at times things are not that simple. Then you will have to look for the hardcore marker of the left atrium, the finger-shaped left atrial appendage. If you identify it, it is very useful to say that is a left atrium. Similarly, right atrium is on the right side usually. It drains the right ventricle to the tricuspid valve, drains the inferior vena cava and the coronary sinus. But the most useful diagnostic hallmark is this triangular right atrial appendage with a broad base. So you need to image this, especially when you are dealing with complex congenital heart disease. So then, now we have to identify all these structures, the venous drainage and the atria. And for that, I will recommend 4 views. The hepatic vein section to the right atrium, the coronary sinus to the and the intra-atrial sinus atrial septal view, the pulmonary vein left atrial appendage view, and the superior vena cava right atrial appendage view. So I will take you through all these views one by one. Having done the transverse section, just angulate your transducer towards the planes where the IVC opens into the right atrium, and you will see this beautiful picture, the hepatic vein is the IVC opening into this right atrium. So this is the next view you should generate. Just tilt the transducer little towards the head of the patient. As you can see, I have inverted the picture. Now you angle the transducer towards the crux, the most posterior and inferior portion of the heart, where the coronary sinus opens into the right atrium. You can see the coronary sinus opening into the right atrium. You can identify the right atrium, the intra-atrial septum, the left atrium, and you can see the coronary sinus beautifully flowing into the right atrium. Now tilt the transducer a little more upwards. You will see the right atrium, the intra-atrial septum, the left atrium. As you can see here in the right atrium, the intra-atrial septum and the left atrium. And you can beautifully identify the left atrial appendage as well. And you can see the pulmonary veins opening into the left atrium. So the first view, we start with the situs view. Second, the IVC, RA, hepatic veins opening into the right atrium. The third view, we went for the coronary sinus and the intra-atrial septal view. The fourth view, which we went forward, is the left atrial appendage pulmonary venous view. And the last view to understand the atrial structure is the region, goes a little more higher up, as you can see, where the SVC opens into the right atrium. You can see the SVC opening into the right atrium, and you can identify the broad triangular right atrial appendage. Are you clear, or you want me to repeat this once more? You start with the hepatic veins opening into the right atrium, tilt it slowly up. You will see the coronary sinus opening into the right atrium. Then you go little more up, you can identify the left atrial appendage and the pulmonary veins. And little more higher up, you can see the SVC opening into the right atrium and identify the right atrial appendage. Having done that, having identified the radial structures, your next job is to identify the atrioventricular junction. For that, you may have to tilt the transducer little to the right side if the patient is having levocardia, or little to the left side the patient is having dextrocardia, and the beautiful picture will appear like this. We can identify the left atrium by the left atrial appendage. You can see the left atrium, right atrium, and this is where you have the atrioventricular junction. The atrioventricular junction can have either a single orifice, when you call it the common endocardial cushion, or the endocardial cushion defect, or one or other of the valves could be atretic. Then you will have only one orifice. So that orifice will have to communicate with ventricles below. Or you can have two orifices, the double orifices, when you will have to bother about the connections as well. When the left atrium opens to the left ventricle and right atrium, right ventricle, you call it concordant connection. When it is the other way around, you call it the discordant connection. When it opens to the same ventricle, the right atrium opening to a ventricle, whereas as left atrium there is something ambiguous, you call it the ambiguous or the univentricular connection. So the atrioventricular junction can be guarded by a single orifice or a double orifice. When you have a double orifice, you will have to look for the concordant, discordant or an ambiguous connection, what it is. Having done that, now you need to identify what type of valve it is. Is it a mitral valve or is it a tricuspid valve? So then mitral valve is very easy to identify. It will have two papillary muscles. It will have two leaflets, and it will be little higher in position compared to the tricuspid valve. The tip to identify the mitral valve is 3. It has got two leaflets, two papillary muscles. It is little more higher position, and it will not have any septal attachment for the cardiac papillary structures. It is non-septophilic. Whereas tricuspid valve usually has 3 leaflets, it has got multiple papillary muscles, and it is offset towards the apex, as you can see, and it will be attaching to the septum. It is septophilic. So we started with 4 segments, and I am giving you 4 tips to identify the valve. The tricuspid valve got 3 leaflets, 3 multiple papillary muscles. It will be little offset towards the apex, and it will be septophilic. Having identified the valves, the next question is whether it is concordant or discordant. And it is very easy to identify the ventricle because the ventricle usually follows the valves. So here you have got a septophilic valve, and this is the right ventricle, as you can see the moderator band here. And here left atrium, there is no septophilicity of the valve. It is higher in position, it is not offset. There is no moderator band. That is why I told you it is extremely important to generate these patterns. Then only you can recognize and identify this. So take some time and improve the pictures so that you can identify the septophilicity and presence or absence of moderator band. Now you know very clearly this is a concordant connection. As you can see, the left atrium opens to the left ventricle, the right atrium into the right ventricle. And exactly on the other side, you can have a discordant connection where you can see the finger-shaped left atrial appendage. It's a tricuspid valve which has got the connection to the septophilicity, and you can see the moderator band. So it's a discordant left atrium opening to the right ventricle is a discordant connection. And you can hear the higher position of the mitral valve. Here the right atrium is connecting to the left ventricle, the atrioventricular discordance. So now the next two more pictures you have to do now is the ventricular-arterial views. You have to, after the AV junction view, you just tilt it upwards, little more anterior. You see the left ventricular outflow view, and really anteriorly you will get the right ventricular outflow view. This is what you have done. This time you will have a little dip more down, and you have the atrioventricular junction view, the left ventricular outflow view, and this is the right ventricular outflow view. And if it is an MRI, you will get such beautiful pictures. But unfortunately, our 2D echo machine will generate a pattern which you have to carefully recognize. You can see the left atrium, the mitral valve, the mitral aortic continuity, the left ventricle, and the aorta. And you can see the right atrium, the tricuspid valve, the moderator band, and the triangular right ventricle. Look at this picture. Now I have come really anteriorly. I can see the right atrium, the right ventricle, and it goes out into the right ventricular outflow tract to the pulmonary arteries. So these are the 8 segments and the 8 segmental views which I am going to keep you more familiar with. In fact, it took a lot of time, decades for me to recognize these views. In fact, when I was in 89, Dr. Ravi Narayanan first introduced me to these views. I couldn't understand.